Hi you guys. I am making this video because when I was trying to find an apartment in Chicago, I had a very difficult time. I was looking on YouTube for some of the answers, but I didn't really see a lot of videos to help me. I found a lot of videos about finding an apartment in LA and New York, but not so much Chicago, which is a little strange because it's like the third largest city. But anyways, I'm just gonna give you quick bullet points on useful information to know if you're trying to find an apartment in the Chicago area. Okay, so first, if you're young, you need one of two things in order to get an apartment. One, you need a cosigner. So you're gonna need someone in your family who has decent credit, or if you're getting a roommate, one of their family members have to have decent credit and agree to co-sign on your behalf. And also, you should definitely visit the apartment before you decide to move in it, because even if you heard that the apartment is in a good neighborhood in Chicago, one block could be really safe and really, great, and then just 2 blocks over, it can be kind of sketchy and kind of dangerous. So you want to get a good feel for your surrounding before you decide to sign the lease and move in that apartment. All right, and another thing, I'm just gonna quickly mention my favorite neighborhoods here. I've been here for a decent amount of time, about like a year and some change, almost 2 years actually, and I've gotten the opportunity to explore a little bit and figure out what neighborhoods were fun, particularly for young people. So Bucktown or Wicker Park, that area is really great, really safe, has a great young hip feel to it, a lot of great restaurants, a lot of great shopping opportunities. It's really fun. And Logan Square, where I stay, it's a really overall, it's a safe neighborhood. A lot of great places to eat. It has more of a family vibe than Wicker Park, like more of a residential type neighborhood where families live as well as young professionals. So that's good because I don't know, I think it's good to live in a residential neighborhood because it makes it feel a little bit more homely as opposed to feeling like you still live on a college campus. So I like a mixture of different types of people and different ages. And Hyde Park is another excellent neighborhood in Chicago for young people or people in general. Hyde Park is known for its affluent groups of African Americans. So I really like this neighborhood a lot because it has a great amount of African Americans who are doing well for themselves, and that makes me feel good to see that neighborhood and to see it thriving and continuing to be successful. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It has great museums and great places to eat and great things to do. It's really safe. So I recommend Hyde Park. And another one, I'm not going to say that this is my favorite, but it's a well-known and really loved neighborhood. It's called Lincoln Park. So let me tell you my thoughts on Lincoln Park. It's safe, it's fun, a lot to do, but it's very cookie cutter. If you go there, you're gonna see a bunch of people who look all the same. Have you ever watched what's that movie, Pleasantville? Lincoln Park is kind of like that. It's not a lot of diversity. You're not gonna see a lot of people that look like me. It's not a lot of flavor there. It's just kind of the same old type of people, same young people, 20 to 30, middle class to upper class. It's kind of, it's not really, in my opinion, it's not that interesting. It's not, I just don't really like it that much, but it's great, if that's your thing. A lot of people do like the neighborhood. You may want to check it out. Okay, and South Loop is another excellent neighborhood, but a lot of young people can't afford it. So if you you know, recently graduated and got your first job and are making a decent living, I do encourage you to check out South Loop. They have some great high-rise buildings, and I just love high-rise buildings. They're just so beautiful to look out the window and see the view. But they are a little on the expensive side, but if you can afford it, I definitely recommend the South Loop area. The West Loop is also a great area, but you have to be careful. Some of the areas may not, some of the parts may not be safe and can be very sketchy. So once again, if you decide to live in West Loop, that's going to be one of those situations where you want to definitely see your apartment first to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into and that you are aware of the surroundings. I lived in West Loop last year. You know, it was a cool neighborhood, but I did hear gunshots sometimes, and well, I'm not gonna say sometimes, I'm over exaggerating. I heard gunshots twice. And at nighttime when I was getting off the train and going home, it was a little unsafe and I didn't feel too comfortable. But yeah. And I'm trying to go through this quick. And if you want a decent 1-bedroom apartment, the bottom line is expect to pay in between $800 and $1,000. If you get anything cheaper than that, I'm not saying it's in a bad neighborhood, but you may want to be just a little wary about what you're getting yourself into. But if you pay $800 to $1,000, you know, you're almost guaranteed to have an apartment that's in a fairly safe neighborhood. So just expect to pay a decent amount of money. It's kind of expensive here. But it's better than LA and New York and some other major cities. So, and also, a lot of young people who live here, they have roommates to decrease the amount of money they're paying. I have a roommate and it's great because I get to enjoy a great neighborhood, but you know, still don't, you know, I can afford to stay in a good neighborhood. And just expect parking to suck. Just go into it with that expectation. If the parking ends up being good, then awesome, but expect to pay a decent amount of money for parking. Like, I don't have a car, but if I had a car, I would have to pay $80 a month to park on side of my unit. But you can have, you know, you have street parking options, but that can get stressful because you have to move it off the street at a certain time. But yeah, parking is sometimes stressful here. And also, I just want to mention that if you move between June and August, you know, around there, it's going to be really stressful because that's a very popular time to move in Chicago. So you're going to have a lot of competition. So just be ready to, you know, go on that journey and see a lot of places before you actually get accepted into an apartment or find an apartment that's a good fit for you. Because I just remember my experience trying to move by August, and it was so stressful. Everyone was trying to move and I had so much competition. So I had to pretty much, we had to tell our landlord that we would pay him up front 3 months in advance if he would let us move in. If we wouldn't have said that, we probably wouldn't even have gotten the apartment we saw. And I mean, the apartment that we live in now. And I'm telling you, we had to have seen more than 10 places before we were finally accepted into a place because of so much competition. And oh yeah, so that's another thing that I want to talk about, the application process. Yeah, to get a place here, you're gonna have to do an application in most cases. And it's really stressful because you have to pay. Like, I think it can go anywhere between $15 and $40, and you're not guaranteed to get that apartment, and they don't pay you back if you don't get it most of the time. So, you know, you're definitely taking risk and taking gambles. So, you know, the application process can be a pain and expensive, but, you know, it's kind of what you have to go through if you want to live in a decent neighborhood here. But I do think you can do better in the application process if you have a strong co-signer or have a stable job, you know, or do like we did and offer to pay several months in advance, you know, because that would make you look better than your competitors. It's a really crazy competition finding an apartment in Chicago, especially between June and August. But I don't want to scare you. It's definitely doable. I've had 2 places here so far. So, you know, it's definitely doable. It's just a little stressful. And Craigslist was hands down the best place for me to go to find apartments. It's so simple, and you know, you could contact landlords and agents directly, and it's just the more hassle-free way to do it. I've never found a place on apartment.com or Dumo or any of those, but you can check those out as well. But in my opinion, Craigslist is the most simple way to find an apartment in Chicago. So hopefully this helped anyone who's trying to, you know, move to Chicago soon or find an apartment in Chicago. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.